So if you know me, you know I am a total sucker for some Ace Attorney. It is easily one of my favorite series of all time, so no matter how stupid Capcom is getting nowadays, nothing was going to stop me from playing this next big game in the series, Dual Destinies, despite, at the time at least, being digital only, which, for the record, Capcom, screw you again for that, just till put that out there. Now I was always looking forward to this game ever since its reveal, but honestly I just couldn't help being a bit worried. The series creator, Shu Takumi, didn't have much input with this one like he did the first 4 games, instead putting his efforts towards the Professor Layton crossover releasing in English next year. So maybe this was just going to be a bit of a lazy cash-in to take advantage of said crossover. So I maintained cautious optimism for the longest time, but now that I've fully completed it, in a mere 4 sittings might I add, the first thing that comes to mind is, holy crap was I ever wrong. Dual Destinies features the ragtag trio of lawyers from the Wright Anything agency. The returning Phoenix Wright, this time sporting a nice snazzy vest and a little bit of a hair bob, Mr. I'm Fine himself, Apollo Justice, and newcomer psychology major Athena Sykes. You get it? Sykes? Psychology? Oh, this game pulls wordplay a lot, get used to it. And like always, the game is set up into multiple episodes, each one dealing with a murder that only one of the esteemed attorneys can solve. And of course, they're way more than a simple whodunit. Each one is just jam-packed with the wackiest of characters just filled to the brim with personality. From just the absolutely precious Juniper Woods, the eccentric detective with a heart made out of pure justice, Bobby Fulbright, and even the new prosecutor, Simon Blackwell, a death row convict. Yeah, a convict standing as a prosecutor in court. Spoilers, the Ace Attorney series don't give a crap. And rest assured, if you want your off-the-wall characters, you got them in abundance. One of my favorites being Robin Newman from Case 3 for obvious but pretty spoiler-filled reasons. There's also another character in that same case, Miriam Scuttlebutt. I want to show her so bad, but the reveal for you guys is going to be amazing if you play the game for yourself, so trust me, if you want your crazy characters, they are totally here. So when it comes to gameplay, it's pretty straightforward. This is a visual novel split into 2 sections, investigations where you search for evidence, and chat up a bunch of people. You badger them for info, and shove every piece of evidence you have in their face, including your attorney's badge, just hoping to get something useful out of them. And it all leads up to the courtroom battles where you need to poke and prod everybody's testimony to detect where they're lying, because they always are, whether they know it or not. So not much has really changed here, though the investigations have been really streamlined now. Not only do they just feel a lot shorter than normal, but you're only allowed to examine surroundings that have stuff in them as opposed to whenever you want, and you have an easy access guide letting you know where to go and who to talk to at all times. It really is sort of surprising how little the outside world has a presence this time around, but it gets the job done perfectly fine, and more importantly, that's just more spotlight time for the awesome courtroom, filled with the hilarious and epic moments that fans have come to expect. And joining Phoenix's Magatama and Apollo's Perceivability, both sort of mystical ways of detecting when people lie, Athena has this program, the Mood Matrix, which detects shifts in emotion during testimonies. It sounds lame, but it's actually surprisingly awesome, and even gets really intense near the end. Totally took me off guard. There's even a bit of a case recap at the end of each episode, ending things off on pretty epic notes. Now, gameplay never really was this series' strong suit, but what's here is what we come to expect, but a lot more. So as Apollo would probably say, it's fine! Now, one thing I was sort of worried about coming up to this game's release was seeing Phoenix just shoved back into the courtroom. I kinda thought it was just a cop-out, since the whole point of Apollo Justice was him losing his badge. But luckily, the entire mid-game is pretty much handled by Apollo and Athena, who actually make a pretty great team. Apollo finally became the awesome guy he just really wasn't in his own game, and Athena has her own charm to her that makes her fit in with the boys in no time flat. She makes the stupidest of faces and all. And honestly, the end of Case 3 is so off-the-wall ridiculous with Athena firmly at the helm that I just can't not love her unconditionally forever now. In fact, all of the cases are actually consistently really good and have more standout moments than I originally anticipated. Like a few returning characters showing up along the way, adding that nostalgic charm that is easy to sucker Ace Attorney fans like myself into loving. Even Case 2, which I think is the weakest out of all of them, has a pretty good plot twist near the end. And boy, you want to talk about a plot twist? My god, the end of this game is one of the most intense, epic, and hell, even ridiculous moments I've had in a game in a long time, and easily the biggest plot twist the series has seen yet. The final cases are typically where these games shine, and while the case itself is actually one of the weaker final cases, the Omega plot twist at the end sent me into overdrive, man. Full on goosebumps, jumping out of the bed and screaming, "What?" kind of crazy, and I'm really not exaggerating. Anyone who's beaten the game can attest to that. I guess it's true what they say, the ends truly do justify the means. Now there's definitely a lot to talk about when it comes to presentation. So first off, and fans of this series should already expect this, but I need to make clear that when this game is funny, it is downright hilarious. Oh, the way she makes him sound, you'd think Apollo was some kind of ancient god. Oh wait. You look great, Polly, it fills in some of the space on your forehead. The prosecutor said, rubbish, we will be out on a stroll, then left with Detective Fulbright. Your face only turned 5 shades of pale. I was expecting 50. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ace Attorney referenced 50 Shades of Grey. In fact, it references damn near everything. Sailor Moon, Katamari Damacy, Twilight, Metal Gear Solid, Persona 4, one person says blast processing, and for the love of everything that is good and holy with this universe, one of the characters utters the phrase YOLO. Do you remember when I said that the series just doesn't care? I wasn't lying! The only real issue I have with the game's writing, aside from the font looking kinda weird and cropped out at times, is that there are a lot of typos. There are a lot of typos. Holy shit! There are a lot of typos! Didn't Capcom boast this game's digital release because it came out closer to Japan's release? Yeah, good job Capcom. And graphically speaking, I gotta say, I'm really impressed. The 3D does the series, oh boy, I guess the only way you could say it is justice. All the character models look perfect and their animations look even better. And all of the environments make you fully aware that you're now in a 3D world, and it is excellent. In fact, I actually like this setup more than the sprite work of the past, and that's not something I would expect myself to say. And there's also a handful of animated cutscenes too, featuring good old Capcom voice acting straight out of the late 90s. Seriously, I can accept Phoenix's and Apollo's voice just fine. Ha! Fine. But everyone else is just pretty blech. Do you remember that line in Mega Man X4 goes like, "What am I fighting for?" Yeah, it is almost at that kind of level at times. At least we have concrete voices now. I mean, I guess there is that. But to contrast that, the soundtrack. The soundtrack. A series known for its fantastic music, Dual Destinies doesn't disappoint. Man, it's such a good soundtrack. It is so good to know that no matter who touches the development of an Ace Attorney game, there's always going to be precious ear candy to be consumed. Oh, it is much, much better than just fine. So maybe, if I wasn't clear enough already, Ace Attorney Dual Destinies is amazing and you should buy it immediately. Although probably not if you never played a game in the series before, then you should still start off with square one. I know some people are avoiding this game because of its lack of retail release, which really does stink, but the game is just so worth it. And really, don't worry about this game being rated M as opposed to the series' typical rated T. Some stuff is kinda twisted, but it's hardly anything that's actually gonna scar you. Okay, well some of it might, but most of it not. And as far as how I would rank it in the series, that's a tough one. I kinda feel like the original trilogy is sort of untouchable, but Dual Destinies is really, really close to topping Justice for All, and even the first game in all honesty. Not Trials and Tribulations though, that'll never be topped. But with a consistently good handful of cases, great characters, mostly excellent presentation including a fantastic soundtrack, it gets my highest recommendation. It's a long one too, clocking my adventure in at around 26 hours, so there's a lot of story to get into here. There's even some DLC cases on the way too. Now, when you typically add both DLC and Capcom to a sentence, it never really ends up being a good thing, but in this case, I'm easily buying it day one, are you kidding me? Just keep on shoving Ace Attorney down my throat, I do not mind it. So now all we have to do is wait for that DLC, the Professor Layton crossover sometime next year, and hopefully good old Capcom will go ahead and make another game in the series too, because why not? But regardless of all that, Dual Destinies is again amazing, and it shows that the series still has a lot of potential, which just makes me so happy. But anyways guys, that is it for my review, hopefully you all enjoyed it, thank you all for watching, and as always, in justice we trust. Objection!